Hello, good afternoon and welcome. After a rather short break, not quite an hour, we're back at the San Marino Grand Prix. Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli, and it's time for round 6 and the final of Moto E in 2022. The last of the current era, of course, with the Energica Ego Corsa machines, and what a finale we've got. 17.5 points separate Dominic Aegerter and Eric Granado coming into this absolutely sensational finale here at the Misano World Circuit, where it came down to the wire last year as well between Aegerter and Jordi Torres. How much Dominic Aegerter would love to win this one. He's on course as well to win potentially the World Supersport Championship too. He wants to do the double, but they've got him on the run. Here comes Granado. Can he close him down? Let's see. Can't wait for that. It'll be fireworks. But first up, we do have these Q1 and Q2 sessions coming up for you this afternoon before race 1 tomorrow and race 2 Sunday afternoon. These are the riders going through into Q1 and Q2 directly. And I'm happy to say we have a pretty well full grid for the finale of Moto E in 2022. Cannot wait for all this. At the end of the combined free practice 2, we did have Mattia Casadei and Jordi Torres top of the times. Torres back to his best, which is great to see. Contract time, of course, as well, for some of these riders who want to stay around for Moto E next year. Casadei, top of the lot. He would love to get a double home victory there, make up for the mistakes of before. But right here, this was the rider that finished near enough highest going into Q1. We have Hector Garzo on the Tech 3 e-racing machine, set a 144.4 this morning. Compare that to the 142.6 of Aegerter in 2021. That is the all-time lap record in Moto E. Not too much time to get up to speed at the moment, though, with just 2 short free practice sessions. This is Hikaru Ikubo, who finished just behind Garzo in the standings this morning. These guys going out for Q1. But in Q2, we will see directly Ferrari, Granado, Aegerter, Pons, Canepa, and Escrig Tambien as well. Also, I switched completely into Spanish there. What on earth was I doing? But yes, can't wait for this one. Neil Morrison, a very warm welcome back to the box. We do have Fran Wild down in pit lane as well, somewhere lurking about in her lurkiness self, trying to get some scoops. Neil, how are you feeling about the finale here this weekend?
Feeling very excited, Matt. I mean, going off the last couple of years, we've always had great drama at this Misano World Circuit. Marco Simoncelli, when Moto E has finished its World Cup here, not least in 2021, of course. Who could forget that really memorable final round where we had 4 riders coming here with a chance of still winning the title. And of course, it went down to the last lap of the last race of the year. And what drama we had.
Yes, the collision between Jordi Torres and Dominic Aegerter ended in such controversy. The world title was stripped away from Dominic Aegerter. Even though he crossed the line first, Jordi Torres was down in the gravel. It was essentially given to Jordi Torres. That was deemed an unacceptable action from the Swiss rider. He will not be looking to repeat such a move here this weekend. But there's got to be fireworks, surely, surely. So we await and see. But for now, Q1, including the flying mustache Kevin Manfredi, the number 34 this morning. He ended up finishing 12th overall in the standings. Great to see some fans still about there then, ready to watch the fastest 2-wheel electric machines. The Energica Ego Corsas round here for the final time before we move to the Ducati era, of course, Neil.
Yeah, momentous weekend this, of course. Energica have been providing bikes for this Moto E World Cup since its inception in 2019, and it's been a highly successful era in which the series has gone from strength to strength, delivered some really memorable racing, and put Moto E firmly on the fixture list for the MotoGP World Championship. And yeah, when Ducati take over next year, it's going to be a new era, and well, yeah, new challenge, I think, for some of the riders with a new bike to get used to.
Yeah, new bike. It'll have a different sort of cooling system and things. I just don't know too much about it at the moment. Can't wait to see it properly. Well, some journalists got invited down to go and look at the Moto E bike a little while ago in Bologna, but we'll see what happens with the orders and when the bikes turn up in pre-season testing, etc. Great to see Bradley Smith there. He's been past fit to continue in this weekend. He had a heavy crash back in Austria. He was deemed fit to continue, which is great news for him. He finished down in 15th this morning, ahead of Maria Herrera on your screens there then.
Yeah, Bradley had a tough old time of it back in Austria, didn't he? Didn't have the best qualifying as he struggles to get comfortable with this year's Energica course machine. And then he crashed out the second corner of the first race, injured himself, and wasn't able to take part in race 2. So it's really just been a luckless season for Bradley, who of course started the year as one of the favourites, returning to this class for the first time since 2019. But it just hasn't really worked out for Bradley. It's not been his year, frankly.
No, fair enough. But good to see him back here, and he is certainly a trier, isn't he? And he's had some great successes in motorcycle racing over the years. This is one of the sort of blips which some things can be out of your control, can't they? And of course, very much went out of his control when he was hit from behind back in the Le Mans 24-hour race, and it's been a sort of a recovery journey since then to some extent. So yeah, fair play to Bradley Smith being out there. Not easy. Got to really hand it to him. So hopefully he can get a good clean weekend and some decent results under his belt, and we wait to see what happens with him next year, of course.
Yeah, speaking of riders returning from injury, good to see this man back for his home GP, his team's home GP as well. Alessio Finello has had a tough season so far. He obviously didn't take part in the qualifying session or in the races in Austria either. After he crashed, I think it was in the first free practice session of the weekend there, broke some bones in his foot. Good to see Finello back here though this weekend.
Yeah, very much so, as we see Kevin Zanoni head out on what is a special weekend for him and the Seek 58 on Getter Squadra course team this weekend. Of course, the home race for the Seek 58 squad. Kevin Zanoni as well, who'll be looking to pick up the pieces. A difficult couple of races for him, showing much potential, but unable to bring home some great results. Our riders out on track, then we'll be seeing some flying laps coming in soon. Garzo out there leading the way from Manfredi. This is actually, ladies and gents, the 5th time that we've actually had the MotoE World Cup visit the Marco Simoncelli Misano World Circuit, and there's actually been 7 races so far in Misano, even though, of course, the first race in MotoE took place in 2019. All of them have actually been pretty much double-header events, haven't they? So, but plenty of experience for the riders that have competed all years in MotoE around this course.
Yeah, we came here twice in 2020, of course, when we had to rejig the calendar entirely due to the COVID-19 global pandemic. And, well, I was amazed, man, going back through notes for the records here. We've had 7 races here. 5 of the races have been won by Matteo Ferrari. Talk about being a track specialist. Yeah,
and it's just such a shame that he's mathematically out of a chance of winning the championship, really. Otherwise you could bet on him for a pretty good bid for victory as well, couldn't you? But that's the way it goes sometimes. 5 victories for him, 1 victory for Jordi Torres and 1 for Dominic Aegerter.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're still in the first part of this session, I think it's probably a pretty good time, Matt, to throw the question to you. How would you assess Energica's performance as the sole supplier for machines in the MotoE World Cup until now, after 4 years?
Well, we're in the entertainment business, and MotoE has been some of the very best two-wheeled entertainment that you could ever ask for, I think, in the Grand Prix paddock. So I think a roaring success, I'll put it simply as that. Partly because we can go back down to pit lane with Fran Wild. She's caught Jordi Torres as well. So Fran, take it away.
I have. Hello, good afternoon. The noise you can hear in the background, of course, is not MotoE. But Jordi, you've been very, very quick today so far. Really great stuff to see. Are you feeling better? What's the secret?
No, the secret is right to the end of the season, no? And also for search job to the next season. We need to do a great result, and also here in Italy is a track that I love a lot, and I do great races in the past. And why not try to squeeze 100% in the last 2 races?
Well, I think you've proven your point already with 2 cups already, but that's good to hear. So best of luck in Q2.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Fran, and good to hear a happy Jordi Torres. A happy Jordi Torres is always a fast one, and he's taken a little bit of time to come back from his injury, and of course, that he sustained at Le Mans. But Jordi certainly today looking like the Jordi of pre-Le Mans, before that nasty leg break that he suffered.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, timely performance it would be as well for Jordi 8. As he said, contract time. He wants to come back next year. He loves competing in MotoE. So let's see what he can come up with today, tomorrow and Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to follow on from your comments about Energica and their performance in the MotoE World Cup so far. I think just from a logistical and organisational point of view, you have to really doff your hat to them. Considering what happened in 2019, Matt. I mean, it was pretty close to not actually happening this series, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Obviously, that fire that ravaged through all the bikes, the e-paddock that was built and everything like that. I think all involved in the organisation of MotoE did an absolutely tremendous job to bring it rising out of the ashes. Literally, essentially, you know, I mean, wow, what an effort that was. People working double time, overtime at Energica, taking resources from other, using resources at other organisations in the motorsport industry, helping out to get things going as well. Monumental effort, and boy oh boy, back to my original comments of the entertainment provided, wow, has it paid off. As we see, Mark Alcoba's gone down in the gravel there, but fortunately mostly okay. But coming out of turn 2 in towards turn 3, that will not be a comfortable incident for the Spaniard.
He's had some big shunts this year, hasn't he, Alcoba? Most notably of all through the Ramshoek in the first race that we had at Assen just before the summer break. That was a terrifying crash, and he just hasn't really been the same, has he, Mark Alcoba, since that fall? His results since then have been 13th, 12th and 15th, and well, I think it's rather understandable that you would have lost a little bit of confidence after such a monumental crash that he had there. And it's a shame, because we were seeing, I think, the best of Mark Alcoba just before that fall. He really was showing himself to be one of the leading men in this class.
Can I just add a quick shout out to his football skills, at least from Wednesday? There we did see the absolute best of Mark Alcoba. Very impressive stuff. But yeah, hopefully he is all okay, and yeah, he can make the most of this final weekend. Like you say, there was such a flash of speed earlier, and now unfortunately he just seems to be needing to make his way back up to those leading positions. Yeah, totally agree, and obviously he'll want to be fighting fit for Sunday League next Sunday as well, too, apparently, as well, with those football skills.
He'll be starting from the back of the grid though tomorrow, unfortunately. As just looking at the times here, we've got Xavi Cardelus currently first in his Q1 session, ahead of Hikaru Okubo, who's just gone into second. Of the names behind that, you would expect maybe improvements to come in from Kevin Zanoni, who's fought at the front of Moto E races so far this year, as well as you would expect from Hector Garzo, maybe Bradley Smith too. Garzo, someone that just hasn't really got going this year, Matt. I think we had him down as possibly a returnee after 2 years in the Moto2 World Championship. A guy that could possibly challenge, and it just hasn't really worked out that way. No, exactly that. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Neil. I really picked him, but he struggled with the changing and development of the bikes, unfortunately, as well. Something a lot of the riders have been getting used to as well. We can hear a little bit more about the adaptation, also some of expectations for this weekend. Fran has managed to catch 5-time winner here at Misano, Matteo Ferrari. I have indeed, like you said, 5-time winner. Matteo, how is it today coming back to Misano? Slightly different bike this year. Little bit of trickier conditions at FP1, but good FP2. You've got some solid pace today, as does Dominique, who stood right next to us. How's it going today?
Yeah, I'm really happy about FP2. In FP1, I maintained the calm because the condition was very difficult this morning. And yeah, good pace. Of course, we have to improve a little bit the lap time because last year we were more fast. But yeah, we are ready for the qualifying.
Well, let's see what you got in Q2 then. Best of luck.
Thank you so much. So.
And best of luck to you as well, Dominic.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Fran. Sounds like you're there with all the top guys waiting to head out for Q2, which will get underway in just over 5 minutes' time. The Magician of Misano, I think, is what I'm going to call Matteo Ferrari from now on, Matt.
Oh, yeah, good nickname, good nickname. Fran, what do you reckon? Is it a good nickname as well? Oh, sorry, I thought Fran's microphone was open there, but it turns out it's the...
She's too busy schmoozing with the top guys.
Very sorry. I mean, I can talk if you wish, but if it did open, it was an error. I apologise.
You're too busy with your big superstar friends now. Just me and Neil here for ourselves. Neil's got a coffee.
My big superstar friends, yeah, absolutely. We've made plans for some food later without you guys. Specifically left you off the invite.
Oh, that's really sad and upsetting. Okay, well, carry on then. Access over there. So as we see then, some quick laps coming in from Okubo, and then Cardelus as well, up there at the top end for the moment. Of course, he's one rider who his season's not quite gone to plan as well after he suffered that injury in Mugello. Okubo, though, still quite a dark horse of the series, 6th in the standings coming into this final race of the year. Got 79.5 points to his name. Of course, got that podium back in France, race 1 back in Austria, came 4th as well. We really like racing there as well, didn't he? What can Akubo do to finish off the season here this weekend?
He'll be hoping he can stay ahead of this man, because Kevin Zanoni could be pushing him out of a place in Q2 here with this lap. Zanoni had a fantastic third sector there on his final lap of the session. He comes through turn 15, manages to keep it within track limits. What about the final turn? This is another difficult place to keep it within track limits. He does just that though. The Italian now comes down, the start finish straight across the line.
Could be a big lap, and it is, because he goes to provisional second and seeded through to Q2. Can anyone else do anything about it? I don't think so. Akubo crossed the line there then, 0.356 slower than the fastest lap time. So I think that's it. I think these are your two riders going straight through into Q2 from Q1 then. Everybody thereafter will be lined up in those grid positions. Unfortunately for Mark Alcoba, his final Moto E races of the season will be from the very back of the grid after that mistake at turn 3.
Yeah, shame that for Alcoba, a shame as well for Akubo, but the Japanese rider is used to coming from way back in the grid by now. His last 3 qualifying performances before here were 11th, 18th and 12th, and the last of those, the Austria GP, where he was 12th, he finished 4th and 7th, so he did show that he is pretty canny at making stealthy progress through the field.
Stealthy progress, I would say that's definitely the most appropriate description. Good to see Cardelus make it through to Q2 as well. It's a final flash of form to close out the season from him, the Andorran rider. So next up we will have the roll for pole. Pole positions previously at Misano in Moto E. We've had Jordi Torres with 2 of them, Matteo Ferrari with 1. Do you remember who got the very first one here in Misano, Neil? Think close to home, to the circuit.
Cassidy.
Alex De Angelis.
Of course.
Yeah,
how could I forget that?
What a legend.
Yeah, but then didn't he deck it in the first lap?
Yeah, a massive accident.
I was going to say, yeah. I was also going to add, Alex De Angelis, the man who taught the paddock the correct spelling of Sam Marinese. There's no N in there.
Oh,
absolutely
yeah.
Shocking revelation.
Oh.
But yeah, it was a great qualifying at least for him, wasn't it? And then some worse luck once the lights went out, sadly.
Yeah, unfortunately so. There were quite a few big... Actually, that was the season before. It was resurfaced, wasn't it? Or it was resurfaced after that race. Because some of the... there were just some massive crashes. That who else had one?
Nicky Tully broke his leg, didn't he?
Nicky Tully broke his leg, but someone else had one coming out of turn 6. Mark VDS, can't remember.
Oh yeah, Mike D'Amelio.
Mike D'Amelio, there we go. An enormous one. So... yes, thankfully the resurfacing job also helped our beloved Moto E riders as well. Xavi Flores then pulls away from the final qualifying session for him of the season with 6th spot, which put him further down than that on the grid. Not been quite the success that he would have hoped for on the Octo Pramac Moto E squad.
Yeah, certainly not. I had Flores down as a guy that could jump into this series and maybe like Tommy Egerter or Jordi Torres before him. Be a podium finisher. I remember speaking to Nicolas Goubert, who is the CEO of this series. Director, sorry, exactly, director of the series.
Executive Director, please.
Thank you very much, Fran, for the correction. Yeah, Executive Director Nicolas Goubert at Jerez before the season started. And he said, yeah, keep your eye on this guy, Flores. He reckoned he could win races this year, but it just hasn't really worked out that way, man.
Tricky class, isn't it? Moto E, the front tyres, the dynamics, the weight distribution, the power at the rear wheel. Yeah, a lot of it's motorcycle racing, and all motorcycles have 2 wheels, a throttle, front brake, rear brake, but yeah, it does require a different style altogether in all aspects of it. So let's get a look at these final results then from Q1. We have 2 riders going straight through, Cardelus and Zanoni. A great result from them. The Andorran rider set a 144.205. Zanoni a 144.341. Akubo is behind him from Manfredi, Garzo and Flores. Herrera, Smith and Alessio Finello down there in P9. Mark Alcoba, no time set for him after that crash at turn 3. Hopefully he's all right to compete there through tomorrow. But for now then, we wait for Q2, the last pole position of the season here at the Moto E World Cup. Well then, welcome back. Q2 getting underway. I want to know where that is. It looks beautiful. I'd love to go and visit it. It's clearly up on a hill somewhere, and quite far away given the heat haze as well. 20, did that say 26 degrees? 27 degrees. Wow, scorchio still. Good job we're in the old commentary box here rather than outside. Well, I wonder what pit lane is like down there with Q2 getting ready for it. You can cut the tension in the knife and maybe the heat as well as we get ready for this then. So
yes, if you would like a little resume in, then that's very Spanglish, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty warm down here. It's certainly huge difference to FP1 when, like we said, there's a bit of a wet patch that caught out Eric Granado. Still pretty cool this morning. Now, I cannot see a real proper cloud. Very blue sky, lovely, but very, very warm. So could be an interesting one because I think the conditions might be quite different in certainly tomorrow's race.
Yeah, very, very grippy in this one then. Soft tyres in, give it full throttle, not gas, and here we go then. So, Cardelus and Zanoni through from Q1. They're joining Casadei, Torres, Ferrari, Granado, Aegerter, Pons, Canepa, and Alex Estridge. As Franz said, Eric Granado had a small crash this morning then. I didn't actually know it was down on a wet patch, so thank you for that information there, Fran. But I do know that he bounced back to finish 4th there. So good to see that Granado was absolutely okay. Tells me it was through Curvone, the very, very fast right-hander indeed. I do also know that actually through a precaution, and it's the final race weekend of the year, they Energica changed the battery just in case there was any potential damage in there. Don't want anything curtailing or putting in jeopardy a awesome title fight come tomorrow and Sunday. That was Casadei then, so he has been top of the lot in Moto E so far this weekend. Would love to see him get a victory on home soil, and well, this is a good thing about Moto E. It's between this rider here, Dominic Aegerter, top of the series, 194 points, and Eric Granado with 176.5. But with Ferrari's record here, Jordi Torres' record here, and Casadei's current form, well, they're not going to have it easy, those two, are they?
Yeah, exactly. I think Dominic Aegerter can maybe be a little relaxed coming here, not just because he's got that decent advantage, but because I do think it will be really quite difficult for Granado to, you know, post a double victory here. And we know if Granado is fighting for, say, 3rd, I'm sure Dominic Aegerter will be perfectly happy to come home just behind him in 4th or 5th. He won't be losing big points in that kind of situation. So, yeah, I think Granado needs to be absolutely on the top of his game, and a crash in Curvone in FP1, that certainly is not the ideal way to start the weekend.
No, absolutely not. I mean, he could take some solace and confidence that at least it was just on a bit of a wet patch and not exactly a setup issue or a huge mistake or it was obviously a mistake to go down the wet patch, but you know, it's one of those which you can draw a line under it and go, okay, actually we can move on from that very swiftly indeed. Yeah, he can carry some confidence through from those that double victory in Austria, because as you saw, you know, Mattia Casadei, he was trying to reel in the competition to try and fight for the championship, but with that crashing out of the penultimate corner in that first race, given the victory, Granado, I mean, he did falter at one of those final hurdles. He did succumb to the pressure. So I do think that, you know, Granado is carrying that wave of confidence. Other people have made mistakes around him. He's the one in the driving seat at the moment on the chase for Aegerter, and I think that's such an interesting dynamic. But then you look at someone like Matteo Ferrari. He knows this place like the back of his hand. He rides here in the Italian Superbike Series against the likes of Casadei. He's got 5 victories here in Moto E, as we've reiterated quite a few times so far in these sessions. He doesn't have anything to lose. He can absolutely pin it for the victory all the time. So that could be a real problem for Aegerter and Granado, I think.
Yeah, will be a real...
Oh, sorry. You gave me a bit of a pause and I got excited that I may be able to cut in. I was just going to say as well, with Casadei, I think he's one of the psychologically really interesting riders on the grid, because it doesn't seem to affect him, like genuinely, not just like, yeah, I'll try and put it to the back of my mind, but it genuinely doesn't seem to have any effect on him whatsoever what's happened 5 minutes ago. He will pin it and he will try his absolute best in whatever situation he's in, and then however the cards fall, he seems pretty zen about it as well, which is particularly interesting, like you said, when we're on home turf as well. He already had that advantage in free practice so far, and we've seen him able to absolutely bolt at the front. So yeah, him and Ferrari, I think, are going to complicate some maths for us this weekend.
Yeah, well, I certainly look forward to it as well. But that'll be brilliant.
That's the last thing we need. Maths further complicated.
Well, especially with the
that half
0.5.
point. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
it's already bad enough.
I know. I mean, I think I got it right. 17.5 points ahead, but I could do 194 and 176 and the difference between that. But that 0.5 completely throws me. So I mean, clearly need to go back to school. I'm sure someone is giving me abuse somewhere about my poor mathematics skills. But here we go then. We're under 9 minutes to go then in this qualifying session. Riders heading out on track. Super sticky out there. The asphalt has been baked by the Adriatic coast sun. Here is Aegerter then, your series leader, 194 points to his name. 3 victories so far this year. Been on the podium all but twice in this. How many races we had now? 5, 10 races? So in 8 full races he's been on the podium. 3 of them victories. What can he do here this weekend?
Every race bar 1. He's been on the podium.
Says here in Netherlands he got 10. Oh yeah, 10 points. That's it. Yeah, thank you. See, the maths gets me. This is the maths. I'm looking through the points. That's how our PDFs are. Drats. Yeah. Well, here we go. So here we go then. Through Curvone, Granado. Wow, as fast as you like through there, and no such issues this time around then. No damp patches to contend with. They have been long since evaporated. But these are your outlaps then. When Granado comes back around, he'll be going for that pole position then to finish off the season.
Yeah, I'm watching FP2 that was just before lunchtime after the Grand Prix FP1 sessions. Cassidy and Torres were working together pretty much throughout that session. They were riding in unison through the session, one rider leading the other for a few laps, then they would switch, and well, it resulted in them finishing first and second. So you do wonder whether the 2 Pons teammates will try and do something similar in this session, work together for the good of the team, for the good of both of them. And it's great to see Jordi Torres looking like obviously the reigning World Cup holder that he is. I think it was safe to say when he was in contention for the titles, Matt, he always had something to lose. He was always in title contention, so he was never putting it all on the line. Whereas I feel this weekend he can just go for it. He doesn't have to worry about potential risk to his championship fight. Championship was gone a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. And I spoke to him back in Austria as well, because of course that's just one race. I mean, he came back in Assen and was still pretty injured, but back in Austria he was more or less totally recovered. So I say, like, what's going on this weekend? So I don't feel too comfortable on the bike, the chicane, etc., learning all that. And I'd rather sort of keep myself in really good shape for Misano, where he can put in a big effort, because as he mentioned with Frank quite openly, and credit to him for that, it's contract time. So without any Series World Cup on the line, well, he can just absolutely tin it, can't he? Someone who pinned it a little bit too hard there was Eric Granado. This lap won't count for him. He went way beyond track limits there on the edge of Curvone. Mikel Pons in front of him. I think he probably did stay inside the lines. Let's see if he can convert it into his 2nd pole position of the year, to Granado's 1 as well. Mattia Cassidy is also a rider who's got 1 pole position. Aegerter, though, has 2 so far this year. Also worth actually noting, total race winners so far this year. Of course, Granado's had 5 victories so far this year. Aegerter 3, Cassidy 1, and Matteo Ferrari 1 as well.
Yeah, we've had some real variety in the MotoGP World Cup so far this year. 10 races and 7 different men to stand on the podium. Aegerter, Granado, obviously, 2 of the names fighting for the championship, as well as Cassidy, Pons, Ferrari, Okubo, and Nicolo Canepa, back earlier in the season at Le Mans as well. So could we see other names added to that list of podium contenders here? As we look at Ferrari going fastest, not exactly a surprise here. What about Domi Aegerter? What can he do? He comes across the line and goes 3rd, loses quite a bit in that final sector.
5 minutes to go then, and a couple of more laps able to get under their belt as Torres now comes across the line. Where does he place? He goes 2nd now, provisioning. So 143.7. I don't actually think that was as fast as Cardelus and Zanoni were able to go in the Q1 session, if memory serves me right already. I know it was a very short time ago, but a lot's happened since then. So important couple of laps coming up for Granado, Cardelus and Zanone, though. Pons being the ultimate wingman, because look at this from Granado then. He's up in the second sector, cutting a very nice tight line there. Hope Pons doesn't quite get in his way too much. Pons gets out the way, allows his teammate through without any sort of real issue. Granado, he's a 10th over at the third split then, but one more sector to go, and will he make it another pole position? He was the pole position specialist previously, wasn't he? But this year, well, 4th place seemed to be home for him.
Yeah, exactly, but he got that pole in Austria and then won both of the races as he goes all the way to provisional pole with a 143.451. Impressive stuff there from Eric Granado, the man hoping to win the championship this weekend. That is the fastest time of the day so far in Moto E by 0.2 of a second, so impressive stuff indeed from the Brazilian.
Yeah, very, very impressive indeed, and a great time to do it as well. But what about Aegerter? Is he going to respond then? He was off by the second split, third split through, and he's gone red then. A couple more corners to go, and Aegerter sends it through. Whoever gets pole position, if it is Granado or Aegerter, it will breed so much confidence for them going into this real proper showdown of a weekend in Misano. Aegerter crosses the line. He goes second though. He's half a 10th of a second drift from Granado, his main title rival. It's building up already, Neil, but what about Casadei? Can he put himself into the mix then? Through the final corner, he comes. So late on the brakes he is as well, and gets a little wriggle on over the rumble strip, or the piano that the Spanish riders like to call it. Across the line he comes. He goes provisional pole this time around. He's got Canepa on his tail as well, getting a bit of learning under his belt too, so a couple more flying laps to go I think for these riders. Casadei a bit twitchy through turn 2 in towards turn 3, but ultra neat there. Here is Granado then. Wow, that is so fast through there. I think that was through the second corner after Curvone. It's not quite so good a lap for Granado this time around, just trying to build himself back up again for one more crack at the whip.
Yeah, this is where Granado crashed out on the final lap of the penultimate race of last year. On the final lap when he was fighting for the victory, he was attempting to overtake the leader at that point to win the race, but when he crashed out, that meant his title chances all but evaporated. He's had no such problem at that point in the track this year so far, and does look very strong in that final sector. Unable to improve in that final lap there, but Dominic Aegerter might be able to do so here.
So now it's all eyes on the timing screens. Casadei has 2 red helmets, 2 red splits halfway around the track, but Aegerter, he's at nearly a 10th and a half. It's faster at the third split then. A couple more corners to go for the Swiss rider. These are huge statements coming in from the main title contenders there, with Casadei in the mix as well. This is just really setting us up for a fantastic couple of race days. Across the line, Aegerter comes. Does he go provisional pole? He does, with a 143.4. Someone is down in sector 4. Who is it? Could it be Casadei or Torres? No, here is Torres. He's coming across the line now though, from 6th, potentially up towards the front row. No, not this time around. We still have the yellow flag in sector 4. I'd love to know who it is. It's Casadei, who's gone down unfortunately on a potential pole setting lap. He's okay, but this will really cripple Granado's attempt at pole position, because if there's still a yellow flag there, he will not get a valid time. He's on a good lap at the moment. We can see on the map in the right hand of our screen. Will he make it through? Will the yellow flags be cleared in time? My suggestion is no. Casadei's out of it.
And I think Granado is out of it as well, because here he comes on a decent lap. Maybe he's not going to improve anyway, but there are yellow flags there in sector 4, so I think this wouldn't count regardless.
So one more lap to go for Eric Granado then. He would love to get pole position, snatch it away from his main rival Dominic Aegerter, who's on yet another fantastic lap. This is just juicy as it gets. Goodness me, I cannot wait for this. I hope Casadei's bike can be cleared in time so we can actually get a proper showdown. It is! So it's game on, and Aegerter will be coming through the final sector now. Yellow flags are cleared, so this lap will stand. He's 0.134 up at the third split then. What will this be for the Swiss rider?
Aegerter still going for a World Supersport and Moto E double championship victory this year, and this would only bolster his chances further if he can cement his pole position for this final round of the season. He gets the final turn just right. Aegerter comes across the line. Does he improve again further? He does, yes, by almost a quarter of a second.
Wowee. So Granado's going to need to pull out something near to a 1:42 lap time on this final lap then. So do we have Granado up? He's down by just under a 10th of a second, but he had a red first sector. That's important. What can he do in the third split? Torres goes pretty much front row of the grid. This could be significant.
Yeah, exactly. That knocks Granado back to 4th and off the front row. That would not be, I think, that satisfactory for the Brazilian, especially as Egerter looks as though he has got pole position. What can Granado do through sector number 3?
So through Cavone he comes, the other right-hander there, across the third split now. Where is he? He's lost all the time. So it looks as though it's going to be off the front row of the grid for Granado. But the saving grace is, that's been home for him so far this year, mostly apart from when he got that pole position last time out. It's not a complete disaster, but it definitely is, coming into the first race day, advantage Egerter. He will take pole position as Granado comes across the line. The checker flag is out. That is it from the final MotoE qualifying session of 2022, and it's your series leader Dominic Egerter leading the way into race day.
The Swiss rider's feeling any nerves coming into this final showdown. He certainly hasn't shown them today. Wasn't exactly setting the field alight in free practice earlier, but that was a consummate display in qualifying from Domi. You can see there just a little off his all-time lap record that he set here in 2021. And Egerter will be starting the final 2 races from pole position. How good. Well, I'm sure that's a massive relief both to him and to the Intact GP squad. He's come so close on 2 occasions to winning the championship so far. Both times he's lost out to this man, Jordi Torres. He's got a different competitor this year, in a different situation, coming here with such a healthy advantage in the championship. He can, of course, win the championship tomorrow if he wins the race and Eric Granado doesn't finish 2nd.
Well then, yeah, so it's a big day. Starting tomorrow, we could see a World Cup winner once again. And it will be a new name, that is for sure, because Eric Granado, obviously, and Dominic Egerter have not won it before. Let's get a look at the action from Eric. He sees himself waving at the camera. I think, to be honest, it's not quite job done. It's not pole position, but it's enough. It's enough. Row 2, you get a good launch off the line.
Yeah, Eric qualified 4th for the first round of the season at Jerez, and he won both races there. So, as you said, Matt, it hasn't always done him harm, starting from the 2nd row.
And as Fran mentioned as well, when we talk about Casadei, you know, he's made a mistake in the final sector here in qualifying. He's gone down, but I don't think that'll affect his confidence one little bit tomorrow. As Egerter comes into the cheers of his team, he knows how important that is to get that pole position ahead of the final round. Goodness me, can it be race day tomorrow already? I really cannot wait for this. I mean, this sums up MotoE, doesn't it? Proper showdown for the final round.
Well, there is Casadei. No luck for the Italian so far, but he still qualifies 2nd. Not a total disaster then, as Fran likes to say. Zen-like personality, whether it's good or bad.
As we said, always the Kimi Räikkönen of MotoE.
But a lot more smiling. Here he is then, turn 14, and down he goes. You can see how late on the brakes he was, and hear the tyre squeal, and down he went. Grounding into the asphalt there. Deceleration of a MotoE bike on its side with no rubber side down. Not like a MotoE bike. And a little bit of a limp there from Casadei, but it's gone away from him now, thankfully, so he looks okay. So salvages 2nd spot despite a crash there. And Jordi Torres back to his best then on the front row of the grid for both races tomorrow and Sunday.
Yeah, Jordi's first front row of the season, remarkably. Previous best was 5th at Le Mans. Can we see him up fighting for the podium tomorrow and Sunday? Yeah, on the basis of what we've seen so far today, Matt, you would say that Torres is in with a good shot of fighting with this man. I mean, Granado really does have a big job in his hands, because it's not just about overhauling this man, Egerter. I think both of the Pons boys, Casadei and Torres, are looking in the mood this weekend.
Yeah, I would say so. Absolutely. Brilliant stuff. And you can see Tatsuki Suzuki there, down there in the blue shirt, with his great mate, Mattia Casadei, him, Bulaga, Bastianini. A quality quartet So then, Jordi Torres, though, back to his best. Here he is down in Parc Ferme, first front row of the year. Oh, and he's got the sideburns back as well. Fran, I want to know about the sideburns. Here we go, take it away.
Well, I'm not going to ask him about the sideburns, but I am going to say congratulations, Jordi, back on the front row. We spoke to you briefly in Q1, and you said you're throwing everything at it this weekend. Great lap. How does it feel to be back in front?
Yeah, it feels very, very well, and I think that this is my rhythm. But in this case, we have some problem on the front. We lose sometimes, always the front tire in the maximum angle in the slow corner. But for sure, we have good technicians and should solve for tomorrow's race and for the Sunday race.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you.
Excellent stuff from Jordi and Fran. The sideburns there, just in all their glory. He's back, Spanish Elvis in Parc Ferme. It's really great to see. We just love Jordi Torres, a real, I would say, an underrated superstar of our sport for sure.
I was going to say as well, he's beat Jonathan Ray in World Superbike before it was happening a little more.
Absolute legend, yes. So let's see what he can do tomorrow. Really, really exciting that was. We'll, of course, have his teammate along with Fran shortly. You can see there in front of us, the Junior GP class getting ready for their qualifying session. Their race will be televised tomorrow, so if you're wondering why there's so many other riders in pit lane, that's why. Let's hear from Mattia Casadei, though. Well, from the gravel to Parc Ferme, then. Mattia, take it away.
So, Mattia, I just asked you, you're all okay after the crash. Still very, very quick. Another front row. A bit of danger maybe for your rivals since we've seen you escape quite a few times this season. How are you feeling here at Misano?
Yeah, I feel good. I do a little mistake now in quali, but it's okay. P2, very good work. I'm very happy because Jordi is in the front row, and this is fantastic. Now we were focused on the race tomorrow, and I feel good for do a very good race.
Well, congrats to you and to the team.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mattia Casadei and Fran there.
Yeah, Mr. Zen, as I think we're going to call him from now on. Casadei has had a stellar qualifying record so far this year. He's been on the front row every race, bar one.
Well then, Casadei, yes, from the gravel to Parc Ferme then, great stuff. And, well, there's only one more person to hear from. I mean, Dominic Aigter, he must have been feeling a little bit nervous coming into this weekend and this one, but then again, he's such a seasoned winner now. How's he feeling ahead of race day and after that pole position? Take it away.
Well, Domi, there couldn't really be a better place to start as you try and take the cup this weekend. Congratulations on the pole position. How are you feeling here? We saw you move up a lot compared to pre-practice. Was it kind of everything on the line in that session?
Yeah, we improved step by step. For sure, it's important to start from front row, so first position, pole position is the best way to start. In Spielberg, when I started from 5, and I had not so good first lap, so I could not really fight for the victory. And yeah, now when I make a good start, a good first lap, for sure I can try to fight for the victory. But yeah, the team, the Dynavolt Intact MotoGP team, they make a fantastic job. They improve the bike step by step. And today afternoon in the qualifying, I had a very good feeling, so I could push to my limit, to the bike limit. And it feels great to ride like this. And yeah, I'm looking forward for tomorrow and Sunday. I hope the sun comes out like this and not like a strange weather. But yeah, I will enjoy a lot to race here again in Misano with a lot of Italian and Swiss fans. So I will try to give them a good show, and I hope maybe we can close the championship already tomorrow.
We'll see. Best of luck, Domi. Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Fran, and thanks to Dominic Aigter. First match point, of course, for the Swiss rider comes tomorrow in race 1 of this final round of the Moto E World Cup at Misano. And as he just said there, he will be going for the win in race number 1. So well, if he does that, he will have a fighting chance of wrapping the whole series up with 1 race to spare.
Oh, I absolutely cannot wait for the first race tomorrow. That'll be absolutely brilliant, as always, with Moto E then. This is it, the finale of well, the Energica era, Moto E as we know it. and it will, of course, take its next step in the evolution next year as well. But for now, then, we review qualifying with Dominic Egerter taking pole position for Cassidy and Torres on the front row. Eric Granado will head the second row tomorrow ahead of Ferrari and Pons. Canepa on the third row ahead of Escrig and Cardelus there. Row 4 will be Kevin Zanoni, Hikaru Akubo and Kevin Manfredi. 5 will be Garzo, Forez and Maria Herrera. And then finally we will have Bradley Smith, Alessio Finello and Mark Alcoba on the bottom end of the grid there. So, Moto E, it's fast, it's furious, it's some of the best racing you're going to see. Guys, if you're still listening, please make sure you tune in tomorrow because it's just going to be fireworks. We're going to get a good night's sleep, some pizzas in, get those salt levels up in our bodies, ready for the excitement. Join us tomorrow. Catch you then. Arrivederci. Ciao. Bye.